Today, we're going to put a hypothetical retirement planning case study into ChatGPT with all the parameters like I normally do. I'm 60 with 1.5 million. Here's my Social Security, how much I want to spend. And we're going to see if it can actually produce a quality output or if I'm going to be able to poke some holes into it. So the reason I want to do this video is because I was golfing with a buddy of mine about 6 months ago, and we got into a discussion about AI, about some of the cool things that it can do. And he, about 10 minutes into the discussion, he said, "Troy, I got to tell you something." He says, "I used ChatGPT to create my own retirement plan. I put my wife and I's savings, I put how much we want to spend, I put some of the goals in, where we want to live, and it produced me a quality retirement plan." So I didn't go too much into great detail with them, but I want to do this with you today, just off the cuff, no preparation. I don't quite know what to expect here. Well, I do have an idea of what to expect, but this is going through live for the first time with you. Nothing is pre-rehearsed. This is just, you're going to see it as I'm going through this, and we're going to share this journey together. So we're going to start with a basic prompt here that somebody may enter if they are thinking about using ChatGPT to build their own retirement plan. So I'm going to read through with you, and then we're just going to get to work. I want you to create a comprehensive retirement plan focused on generating income, good growth without a lot of risk, minimizing taxes, protecting for long-term care, and I'd like to make sure my 2 kids inherit at least $500,000 each. My wife and I are both 60 years old. She has been retired for many years, and I am retiring in 2 months. At 67, my Social Security is $3,000 per month. Her Social Security then will be $800 per month. I have $1.2 million in my 401k. We have $200,000 in a CD paying 4%, $50,000 in savings, and $50,000 in a brokerage account. Our spending goal is $100,000 per year after taxes, but not sure if that's too high or too low. My 2 biggest concerns are taxes and healthcare, and I also want to make sure that we don't run out of money. I expect to live to around 88. That's when my dad died, and my wife could make it into her 90s as both her parents are still alive. Should I do any Roth conversions? If so, how much and when? From which accounts should I withdraw money from? And when should I take Social Security? I'm leaning towards taking it sooner than later. So this is something that I presume would be a prompt that if you're in this position and you wanted to work with ChatGPT, this would maybe be similar to what you input. So we're going to process the request and see what it comes up with and go from there. Okay, so it looks like they have a lot of the bases covered here as far as some of the core planning domains of retirement, and we're going to go into them kind of one by one. Okay, so your current position, it's essentially an inventory of assets and income that we have provided, as well as the spending goal here, $100,000 per year after tax. And it says, let's assume you need 115 to 120 gross to net 100K after taxes. Then the big question, can you retire? How much income to pull out? So can you sustain $100,000 a year? Life expectancy summary, portfolio summary, your basic 4% withdrawal rate is $60,000 a year. So then it's breaking down before Social Security, how much you would need from your investments, and then after Social Security, how much you'll need from your investments. And then it's saying it's very manageable with disciplined tax planning. When to take Social Security? So here's the big question. We receive this question all the time, and if you have $500,000 or $5 million, Social Security is a hot button for almost everyone that we talk to. So this makes a lot of sense. It is a permanent lifetime reduction if you take it early. So at age 62, it would be a 70% reduction from that age 67 benefit. And here it's saying it may actually be better, or why delaying may be better in your case. So it's really kind of giving you some education around why it may be better. And then of course at 70, if you defer it to its maximum time frame, it jumps from $3,000 a month to around $3,800 a month. So it's giving us options here. So there's a strong planning case for you deferring till age 70, and then the wife taking it at age 67. Okay, so no advice, but it seems like this is the strong planning case. Defer Social Security as long as possible, and your wife can take it at 67 at her full retirement age. Withdrawal strategy. So from age 60 to 67, we're in a low income window before Social Security kicks on and RMDs kick on. The withdrawal order. So this is the order from which we are going to withdraw from our account. So from age 60 to 67, we're going to use the CD, the brokerage account, and savings. controlled 401k withdrawals to fill tax brackets, and perform some Roth conversions. From 62 to 75, live on Social Security, continue Roth conversions, keep income below IRMA Medicare threshold. So IRMA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It is a Medicare surtax. And if you're married filing jointly, once you exceed certain levels of income, your Medicare premiums go up substantially. So it's telling you to stay below those thresholds. Then phase 3, 75 plus, RMDs begin. Much of the 401k has been converted, so it seems like it's planning on converting all of the retirement account to Roth conversions. Taxes are controlled at that point, survivorship is protected. Okay, so I really like this. This is very similar to what we would do as far as breaking this down into phases. So there really are 3 distinct phases of this particular retirement plan and many retirement plans. So you have phase 1, which is before Social Security kicks on, where you're dependent more on your assets. Now, phase 2 could be shorter or longer depending on when you're going to take Social Security, but I do like the way that they've kind of broken this down. Phase 2 is full retirement age, 67 until age 75. That 75 is when required minimum distributions begin. And the order that we're withdrawing from our accounts, our tax strategy, all of that's going to be different from 67 to 75 than 75 on. And the reason is because once you start required distributions at 75, all of that money coming out of your retirement account is subject to income tax. So it's filling up your brackets. You don't have as much flexibility to do much tax planning at that point unless you're charitably inclined. Now, one thing also I'll just kind of point out now, this may not be a 3-phase plan necessarily, simply because it seems like most of the 401k is being converted here. So that doesn't make age 75 plus that significant. So we'll come back to that and we'll talk about it once we get into some of the analysis. Okay, Roth conversion strategy. So you are ideal candidates for Roth conversions. Right now, no Social Security, no RMDs, you're in low tax brackets, your 401k is large relative to your other assets. It points out the concerns or considerations if you do not do Roth conversions, which if you follow this channel a lot, we have tons of videos, as you know. One of the biggest things we do for clients is tax planning. So here it's telling us the downsides to not doing Roth conversions. And then from age 60 to 70, the strategy is convert enough each year to fill the 22% bracket, possibly part of 24% depending on comfort. Aim to convert 75 to 125 per year. Target converting 600 to 900 of the 401k before required distribution age. So at 75, it says a $1.5 to $2 million portfolio could produce $80,000 to $100,000 of annual distributions. That pushes you into higher tax brackets and brings Medicare IRMA surcharges possibly into play. Well, it just actually says and Medicare IRMA surcharges. I assume it's saying it's going to bring them into play. And then it tells us if you do convert strategically, some of the benefits. So this is an important part of a retirement planning discussion. You always want to surface trade-offs and discuss, if you do this, this is what could happen. If you do this, this is what could happen to the negative side. Because in retirement, there's nothing but trade-offs. And every decision you make, those on both sides of the decision have to be considered. So I like what it's doing here because it's telling you if you do nothing, this is one of the trade-offs. But if you convert strategically, here's the other trade-off. Now, it's framing it in a positive light. It's clearly encouraging you to do these conversions. So overall, the structure of what it's providing, the structure looks good as far as how it's itemized these things into these various planning domains. And it seems to have an intellectual understanding of some of the topics at hand. The question is the advice that it's giving you, is that actually good advice? So that's where we're going to be going pretty soon. Okay. Number 6, tax minimization framework. Smooth taxes over your lifetime. Again, these are the goals, the key moves. Roth conversions before age 70 to 75. Seems like it might be slightly contradictory to what it was saying previously. Seemed like we were going to convert through age. Delaying Social Security, which keeps your income brackets lower because you're not taking Social Security. So you have more room to do Roth conversions. Manage capital gains carefully, keep income below Medicare premium threshold. So getting a bit redundant here, but I think it's summarizing some of the benefits and considerations for the tax planning goal. Okay, Medicare at 65, we're getting into the healthcare and long-term care section. Telling us now where IRMA surcharges kick in. This is the 2026 level. It will absolutely be different 5 years when this couple hits age 65. long-term care. It's listing our options. You can self-insure. You can do hybrid life and long-term care, or traditional long-term care policy. There's actually a fourth that they're not providing you, and it's some type of not hybrid long-term care insurance, it's hybrid self-pay, hybrid transfer the risk of the cost of care to an insurance carrier. And number 2 here, hybrid long-term care insurance, what it's referring to is known as asset-based long-term care, so it's an asset-based as opposed to an expense-based policy. I'm not gonna get into the details in this video, but we do have other videos out there that goes into that. So it's giving us 3 options, either self-insure, a hybrid policy, or a traditional policy. I would just say the 4th consideration is a hybrid of self-insuring and transferring the cost of care, the risk of the cost of care, to an insurance company with one of either option 2 or option 3. So you don't have to be all in one of these buckets. You can partially do each. Given your legacy goal, it says hybrid coverage may make sense. Okay, investment allocation. Again, so it's covering the key planning domains. So we have risk management, we have taxes, we have income, we have healthcare. Haven't quite got into the estate planning side, but I'm pretty sure it'll be here. But again, as far as the structure, I do like the structure. You need growth, but controlled volatility. So 50 to 60% diversified equities, pretty standard modern portfolio theory here. U.S. large cap, international, 35 to 45% fixed income, which would be considered or comprised of high quality bonds, short-term bonds, and then TIPS, which are Treasury inflation protected securities. And then a 5% cash buffer. So this is just straight from, developed, decades ago modern portfolio theory. I'm not saying it's good or bad, just standard modern portfolio theory. You don't need aggressive. You also should not be super conservative. Target long-term return of 4.5 to 5.5%. Now, the legacy goal to insure $500,000 per child. Here are the parameters. And then based on market returns, long-term care costs, and tax efficiency, you're likely to leave based on their assumptions, somewhere between 800 to 1.5. The biggest threat to inheritance, listing what you need to take into consideration that could jeopardize that goal. Roth conversions dramatically help preserve the inheritance. It's a very interesting statement. Okay, so we like the structure of how everything was laid out. Now we have a recommended action plan. It says immediately retire at age 60, delay Social Security, live off your CDs, brokerage, and some 401k. Begin annual conversions of about $100,000 adjusted annually. Enroll in Medicare, reassess IRMA, evaluate long-term care hybrid coverage at age 65. Now we're getting into this phase 2 that they labeled. So consider claiming Social Security, continue conversions if tax efficient. Claim Social Security, you do, at age 70, reduce conversions if needed. Age 75, RMDs begin. Okay, so now we see the action plan here. It's a bit vague. It's giving us a general roadmap of things immediately that we should do. And then as we kind of go throughout this plan, it's getting a little bit vague and definitely could leave a little bit more to be desired. But again, sounds pretty good at the surface level so far through this point. Okay, so now we're getting to the end of what the ChatGPT financial plan recommendation is, and it's telling us what our biggest risks are. So it says your biggest risk is not running out of money. It's paying unnecessary lifetime taxes, widow tax bracket compression, long-term care erosion, and poor Social Security timing. So your biggest risk isn't running out of money, it's telling you. It's paying unnecessary taxes, and then widow tax bracket compression is when one spouse passes away, you go from the married filing jointly to the single brackets. Long-term care erosion, I believe what it's saying is if there's a long-term care event later in life, your asset balances will erode because you'll have to pay for those costs out of pocket. And then poor Social Security timing, it's saying, is a big risk. Final thoughts on your spending goal. It's reasonable, but track spending, reassess annually, build some flexibility, and then it gives us some options of what it can run next. Okay, so we have an actual retirement plan from ChatGPT. What do you think about the plan? Are there any areas that you noticed maybe a little bit off, things that ChatGPT overlooked? And what questions would you ask ChatGPT from this point forward? So I want you to put those into the chat box down below, into the discussion, the comments of this video, because I want to turn this into a multiple video series where we get a lot of feedback from you and then we actually dive in addressing some of your questions or going back in, recreating this, and then asking some of those questions and see what rabbit hole that takes us down. I think this is going to make this a very, very interesting 3-4 part video series. So I have not yet scrutinized this plan, and that's what I'm about to do next. So we break this into 2 parts, and you can, to watch me scrutinize ChatGPT's retirement plan and identify where I have some questions that I'd like to ask it, you'll see a little box right up here. Just click that, go ahead and go through to part 2 of this video, and I look forward to seeing you there.